Hey everyone, Sam here, otherwise known as FPL Pricey, and in today's video, I will be running through my early transfer plans ahead of Game Week 13. Welcome back everyone to another video. Today I'll be running through my transfer plans ahead of Game Week 13. I've got two free transfers, 0.5 in the bank to play with. First up though, if you did enjoy today's video, I'd massively appreciate it if you could leave a like and importantly, hit subscribe, especially right now, because I'm right on the cusp of hitting 5,000 subscribers. If you could help me on my way, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's start off first by taking a look at my team performance very quickly from game week 12. A really strong game week, probably my best game week in terms of the rank from the game week itself so far this season. I think it's about a 400, 300k game week rank, which has halved my rank going up to now just outside the top 300k from just outside 600k at the start of game week 12. So very happy with that. It's good progress and I'm in a good position as we move into the Christmas period. I used 3 free transfers to bring in Bruno Fernandes for Longstaff, downgrade Voltemade to Mark GU, who just sits on my bench, although he did get an assist this week, which was quite funny. And then, of course, I've also downgraded Gabriel to Lacroix. Now, Lacroix, I'm very happy with 11 points from him, including that assist where I'm not sure he knew that much about it, but I will absolutely take that. 11 points from him. Very, very happy with some good fixtures to come. Anderson also came off my bench, a bit of bench jam there because Semenyo wasn't in the squad for Bournemouth. I'm a little bit surprised by that, but it came out after the deadline that he was actually also suffering with an illness, which is why he missed out on the matchday squad. So no one could have really predicted that, but oh well. Anderson coming off my bench with 10 points. I knew that there was a risk with Semenyo, hence why I wanted that strong first substitute, and Anderson did the business. Defcon from him. I think he got some bonus. I think he got 2 bonus, in fact. And of course, the clean sheet in a good performance from Fulham. Not only him and Lacroix got me big hauls this week, but also Enzo Fernandez, 11 points from him. That goal at the death from the Mark GU assist, I was very, very happy about. It's been frustrating owning Enzo Fernandez over the last few game weeks since wildcard. So it is nice to finally get something from him, even if he's not going to stay in my team all that much longer. We'll come on to that in a moment's time. Elsewhere, Pope got save points, Senesi got an assist but conceded a couple. Timber also picked up an assist, although the clean sheet was wiped out, so no big haul from him. And Saka also picked up Defcon. Yet again, I don't think he hit Defcon at all last season, or wouldn't have hit the Defcon threshold if it was in the game. This season, he's been a bit of a Defcon beast, and I will absolutely take that, although only 4 points from him in a 4-1 win. Not ideal. João Pedro was very disappointing yet again. 1 point from him. Arsenal next up. I think you can see where I might be going with one of my 2 free transfers there. And on my bench, Rodon with 3, GU with 4 with that assist off the bench. But overall, really happy with the performance. I've got Bruno Fernandes to play tomorrow evening. Mbeumo is the big rank threat, but he's about 50% effective ownership at my rank. So unless he goes and scores a hat-trick, and feel free to laugh at me if that ends up happening tomorrow evening. But if he does do that, that would probably be about 8-10 points against me. And I'd still probably be around where I started off the game week. And that's if Bruno Fernandes does nothing. So fingers crossed Bruno can match Mbeumo. But even if Mbeumo does a little bit better than him, it shouldn't be too horrendous for my rank. And I should still be on a green arrow this game week. 55 points so far. Very happy with that. Let me know how you're getting on so far in the comments below. And let's crack on with taking a look at my transfer plans. Right then, so let's start off by talking about one of the more obvious transfers I'm going to have to make this season. João Pedro, I've held on to him for a little bit longer than most. And I have to say, I'm not overly disappointed with his performances over that little stretch. I think I held on to him maybe 3 game weeks longer than most people. In that time, he picked up a 9-pointer, I think it was a 7-pointer and a 1-pointer against Burnley. So not too bad. I would absolutely have taken that at the start of that little run, but I think the time has now come to get rid of him. 0.43 XGI per 90 is nothing to write home about, and Arsenal next up at home as well. And even after Arsenal has been and gone, the fixtures on paper look pretty good, but I wouldn't be surprised to see reduced minutes for João Pedro and a lot of the Chelsea boys because they've got some tough fixtures in there. They've got Barcelona in the Champions League. That midweek fixture is against Leeds in game week 14. Could I see some rotation in that before Bournemouth? Absolutely. So I think it's time to probably get rid of him, and you can find other strikers that are a little bit cheaper that are also much better on the underlying data with some better fixtures overall as well. Let's start off by talking about the most obvious replacement. I think that is fair to say it's Thiago. 0.58 XGI per 90 so far this season, and Brentford have a real knack of winning penalties. Now, do I think that that's sustainable throughout the season? They're going to win 20, 25 penalties? Absolutely not. But they are a team that historically, since they came into the Premier League, do try to find those fine margins and almost game the system a little bit. They try to take all of those little advantages, and they're very good at winning penalties. If you look at some of the data that FPL Tom has crunched, I would highly recommend checking them out if you get the chance. Brentford and Brighton, we'll come on to them in a minute, are both very good at winning penalties. In fact, they compete well against some of the best, most attacking sides in the league when it comes to racking up those penalties over the last few seasons. So although I don't think it's sustainable at this rate, I do still think that Brentford are going to win a pretty decent amount of penalties throughout the season. And even without the penalties, Thiago is still getting plenty of big chances. He did miss a penalty in game week 12, but he's done so well for Brentford so far. I think it's 9 goals in 12 Premier League games so far, only beaten by Erling Haaland, of course. I still think he's just a very obvious buy. Yes, Arsenal in game week 14 will be a difficult one, but if you can find a way of benching him, or let's be honest, a penalty taking striker against any opposition is never a bad player to be starting. I can get on board with playing him even in that game. It's not a bad run. Burnley at home, fantastic fixture to be buying him for. Spurs after Arsenal, and then Leeds at home after that as well. I am very interested in replacing Pedro with Thiago. The fixtures are great for a long period of time. Brentford aren't in Europe. They're not in any other competitions right now, so they've got a clean run at Premier League all the way through to Christmas. And Thiago's minutes are good anyway. So if we're looking for security of minutes, good data, good price, Thiago ticks all of those boxes. The only thing I would say on Thiago is just whether or not I'm absolutely certain it's him I want to buy and not one of the other two. If it's him I want to buy, I might even have made this transfer by the time you watch this. I think I'll be posting this Monday morning. Thiago is meant to go up Sunday evening, and I'm recording this just after the Arsenal game. There's a good chance that if I am convinced that he is the one out of these three, that I make the move early, take the risk, save the other free transfer for later on in the week, just in case something happens in the Champions League, in the European competitions. But Thiago's not playing in the midweek, so the likelihood of him picking up an injury training is relatively low. I mean, it could happen, and I could look like an absolute idiot if I do move early on him. But I get the feeling he's probably going to rise in price once or twice this week. And I do want to cash in on that value before it gets away from me a little bit. And there are future moves where that extra 0.1, 0.2 could be really crucial for me. So I might move early on Thiago, but he's not the only striker I'm looking at. Danny Welbeck continues to prove that age is just a number, scores yet another goal, and he's been in sensational form himself for Brighton as well. Ever so slightly better underlying data than Thiago, by the way, 0.59 XGI per 90. And on balance, you've got to say that they've got the better fixtures, or at least very similar fixtures. They've got West Ham at home in there, Aston Villa, who aren't exactly watertight, Forest away, and then Liverpool away. Liverpool away on paper doesn't look good at all, but they've been very porous in their defence. So can I see Brighton scoring in that game? Absolutely, I can. The question, I suppose, with Danny Welbeck, given his age, is are his minutes completely watertight through this Christmas period? And that is what's giving me the biggest headache right now, because he has been playing extremely good minutes so far, but given his age, is there a chance that he starts getting brought off early during this fixture run? I think the chance is maybe medium, if that's even a way of describing it. Higher than Thiago's chances, put it that way. With Thiago, I don't even really need to look at the team sheet, I don't think. I might be wrong, but I don't think I do. With Welbeck, I'm at least having a little glancing eye at the team sheet every single time just to make sure he starts. So I'm like 95% convinced on Welbeck, whereas I'm like 99 to 100% convinced on Thiago. I suppose 100, you can never be 100, but I think Thiago is slightly winning that battle for me, but there's not much in it. And then the other alternative is Mateta, who I've been incredibly scared of for a number of weeks. And he's still got good fixtures to come. Man United at home, Burnley away, Fulham away. It's a good run. And his underlying data is much better than Thiago's or Welbeck's. However, that 59th minute substitution was something that I didn't predict. I'm not going to claim that I knew it was coming, but with Nketiah coming back from injury after the international break, I did have a sneaky suspicion that maybe his minutes might be managed a little bit, especially considering he picked up a knock on international duty. And I do just wonder if that continues. And I've already got Ismail Assar in my team. Do I need to double up on Crystal Palace going forward when there's still a defender out there, namely Daniel Munoz, who is providing very good value for money, and I could get to in a couple of game weeks instead, and maybe just double up on Crystal Palace defensively instead? I am tempted to go with Mateta. Obviously, I don't have the money to just make that move, João Pedro to Mateta. I'd need to downgrade someone else, which we'll come on to in a moment's time. So this move is trickier, and because of that, I think I'm very slightly favouring one of the cheaper two, namely Thiago at time of recording. Okay, so the second free transfer that I'm aiming to make this week will probably be Enzo Fernandez out. Now, 11 points in game week 12. He's finally returned some of that underlying data that's been creeping up over the last few weeks. So I'm delighted with how it went in game week 12. But again, I did have this penciled in for a while that this is the right time to be hopping off. Arsenal's not an easy fixture. Of course, he could return in that game, no question. But the next run I don't love, especially given that the nicest fixture in there is Leeds away from home, where they're a little bit stronger, or at least historically they have been. And in that match, that's coming after Barcelona, followed by Arsenal, and then they've got Bournemouth after that as well. So can I see reduced minutes in that game? Again, a bit like João Pedro, absolutely I can. And then by the time we get to game week 15, 16 against Everton, my whole team structure could look different. I'll get the 5 free transfers. If I'm desperate to get back to him, I can do. And I think in that period of time, he loses penalties, even if he's got them over João Pedro right now, because Cole Palmer will probably be coming back. So I really like the underlying data. I think he will probably punish me at some point for selling. I think there are more returns to come. But at cheaper price points, there are other players that I also really like. And I think this is the right time to be maybe looking at making a shift. Do I need to make this move? No. And if there are any other problems that come up in my team over the next few days, then this is the one that I will probably just put a pin in and look to make this another week, or just hold on to him because he's always going to be a decent hold. His minutes are good. The data's good. I don't need to sell him. But if nothing else goes wrong this week and all of my players are fit, then I think he's the most likely second transfer I make. And I do want to be a bit more aggressive with my moves, considering we've got those 5 free transfers coming ahead of game week 16. So the question is, who do we replace him with? Well, top of the list will probably be Yankuba Minter, who got another 2 assists yet again. One of them was a deflected, a blocked shot, I suppose, that was then rifled in on the rebound. So an unconventional assist, and he's got 1 or 2 of them this season, but he is still putting up decent numbers. The minutes have been fantastic. And although it doesn't really show it on the screen with the fixtures next to him right now, I do really like the fixtures over the entire Christmas period. They've got a lot of very nice home fixtures in there where I can see some hauls coming. And he's just on the eye. He's just such a good player. Every week I watch Brighton, I'm like, I really wish I had him. And sometimes that is a good enough reason to go for him. The data is decent. I think he is a phenomenal Premier League player, and I think he might be the next player to take a step up. 6.1 million at the moment. I don't think he's rising anytime soon, so I might wait on this one because there are other options, and I do need to make my mind up here. But Minter is the one that most naturally takes my eye right now. The other player I'm quite tempted by is Elliot Anderson. I had him in game week 1, didn't really pan out for the first few game weeks, but he has been quietly racking up some really good DEFCON data. He's never been more than 2 points off of the threshold throughout the entire season, and he's consistently hitting it now. He's also started to pick up some attacking returns, which is always nice to see. And he's got some good fixtures as well, and he's at a reduced price of just 5.3 million. I think because of the 5.3 million, he is more tempting because it does enable me to make some other really high upside moves in the next few game weeks. And if I made that move instead of Minter or instead of some of the more expensive players that I'm coming on to later, I could move a Joe Rodon up to a Daniel Munoz next week, or a Van Dijk if for whatever reason I'm tempted to do that. At the time of recording, I'm not, but it gives me the options later on down the line. So Anderson is another one I really like the look of. He's a bit of a steady Eddie. He's not exciting, but he's a great player. I absolutely love him. He's hitting DEFCON, so the base is quite high, and he'll pick up the odd attacking return as well. Just as an example, and I've put him in here not because I'm necessarily dying to have him, because the underlying data is not brilliant for the price, and I do have maybe some hesitations around the minutes, some doubts, but Foden is a player I can get to if I go for a Thiago in the forward line instead of João Pedro. I could then use the money to go from Enzo up to someone around about 8.3 million. So Foden falls into that category. I could also look at Cunha. I could look at Eze, who's just bagged a hat-trick against Spurs, although he's got Chelsea next up. It gives me plenty of options. So Foden's in there as just a bit of an example of what I could afford. But I do quite like the fixtures. Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, Crystal Palace. If I think his minutes are good, I don't hate it as a punt, although given the money, I think I would more likely be going with someone like a Minter or an Anderson at time of recording. The final option I've chucked in here because, again, he scored a brace today, so I think people are going to talk about him, is Morgan Rogers. If I was free hitting in Game Week 13, he'd be right top of the billing against Wolves. It's a great fixture. I think he'll do really well. But after that, Brighton away, Arsenal at home, West Ham away. It's a good set of fixtures. Even with Arsenal in there, it's not bad at all. Two very good fixtures, Wolves and West Ham in there. So I can see him returning. But for the price, which isn't cheap, by the way, I think it's 6.8 million at time of recording. That data is truly quite awful so far this season. I don't think data always paints the full picture because he has been returning quite well recently. But 0.15 is even below Elliot Anderson. And Elliot Anderson is not an attacking player by any means. So it's whether or not I want to pay that sort of money for someone like Rodgers, who doesn't hit DEFCON ever. We're just purely talking about attacking returns for him. He would need to continue to hit them. I don't hate it as a bit of a differential, especially on a free hit. But I don't think I'm massively sold on going for him with free transfers yet, because I would want him longer term. And I think I need to see better underlying data to do it. I don't hate him, but I think there are better options at cheaper prices right now. So right now, I think I'm between Minter or Anderson. Anderson does free up a bit more money, but gut call right now, I think Minter is leading the way for me. Right then, so wrapping up with those two free transfers loaded in, what would that look like in my Game Week 13 side? Thiago coming in would be my preference in the forward line right now. And probably, I'm a little bit more on the fence with this one, but probably Minter in my midfield, giving me what I think is a really strong five-man midfield of Saka, Minter, Bruno Fernandes, Sarr, who I will need to sell in a few game weeks' time because he'll go off to AFCON. So I need to have maybe some ideas as to what I might do to replace him later, which is, again, a good reason to maybe be saving the money in those other two spots that I mentioned a minute ago. And then Semenyo, who is currently flagged, but I would be surprised if he's not back by Game Week 13, given that at least as far as we know, he only missed out in Game Week 12 because of the illness, not the injury. So I'm hopeful he'll be back. And overall, although it doesn't look anywhere near as good on paper as a free hit side, and I will be making a video on free hit teams ahead of Game Week 13, so do watch out for that if you are on free hit. This does not match up well to a free hit side, I don't think. There are a few players playing against each other I don't love, but I don't think it's bad. I've got two penalty takers with good fixtures at home. Haaland will be my captain. In the midfield, I've got another two, maybe three penalty takers if Semenyo's back and Cliver isn't. So he should be on penalties there. So maybe another three. Good underlying data across the board in the midfield. And in the back line, I'm pretty happy with that. Senesi may be a player that I'm looking at moving on pretty soon. Bournemouth defensively, not been brilliant recently. Timber I'm happy with. He will almost certainly start against Chelsea, you would think. And Lacroix is my favourite player right now after his 11-pointer, so I'm happy enough with him. Pope is living a bit of a charmed life against Everton away. I'm hopeful for a clean sheet, but it's just consistent 3-pointers from him since I wildcarded him in. But I'm pretty happy with the side overall. 300k there or thereabouts going into Game Week 13, unless Mbermo does the business and Bruno doesn't. But I'm happy with my position, and I know I know that over the next few game weeks, I'm going to want to make sure that I use these free transfers aggressively so that I don't have any spare going into the AFCON 5 free transfer reload in a few game weeks' time. So I'm happy enough with it. I've got decent bench cover with Anderson against Spurs away. I don't mind it. He'll probably hit DEFCON. So if there is another injury or some sort of surprise rotation, I think I'm decently set up there. But I'm pretty happy with my bus team going into Game Week 13. And if I make those 2 free transfers to get rid of the Chelsea boys, I'm even more confident that my team can hold up pretty well against the free hit teams that are out there. And it will be a popular week for that. So I'm hopeful that I can just maintain rank in Game Week 13 and then afterwards maybe go on the front foot yet again. But hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Hopefully the decisions that I'm making make some sort of sense, but let me know in the comments below if you've got any questions of your own. And of course, if you did enjoy today's video, if you could leave a like and hit subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated as we chase down 5K before Christmas.